Hey, everybody. I'm Janet Harley, host for Faith in an Ever Changing World, Encouragement and Hope. Glad you could be with us today. I am honored to have with me Peggy Sue Wells. And Peggy Sue is an author. She is the USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling author of 33 books and collaborator of so many more. Action and adventure, romantic suspense, military romance, and cozy mystery are the page turning novels by P.S. Wells. How to live better, easier, simpler in the focus of nonfiction is the focus of nonfiction books by Peggy Sue Wells. Great. Thank you for joining me today, Peggy Sue.
Janet, it is so fun to get the chance to talk with you.
Oh, well, it's all my honor and pleasure. And right after our brief intro, we'll learn more about Peggy Sue Wells. Stay with us. And we are back. Peggy Sue, if you will, please share with us what has God given you to do in this season and how is faith helping you do it?
That is such a fantastically full question at this season in my life. I am the single mom of 7 children. I have 6 daughters and 1 son. Wow. And they have all grown now. I mean, everybody's graduated college. We're not doing braces anymore. You know, they're all on their own. They have their own homes, their own families, their own careers now. And so literally this was a shift in seasons for me. And it was a lot of, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And I am so grateful that he has allowed me to be a full-time author. And it's what I do. It's what I'm skilled to do. I tell people a lot, I stink with math, so I'm glad that I can work with words instead. So as a full-time author, I get to do 3 things. I have 3 focuses. One is that I work with clients and I work to collaborate with them to bring their message so that it becomes put out into some sort of a book. A lot of entrepreneurs who have lived life, they've figured out a way to make business work, and they're like, I just want to share this so that people coming after me can do a really good job as well and save them, you know, the hassle of learning all the hard things. And so I'll come alongside them and I take their message and I polish it so that it shines and it says what they want it to say. So I'll do a lot of collaborating with that sort of thing. Excuse me. And so that's the one aspect that I get to work with, is just to help people put their message out there, because being a writer is a specific skill. And so when you're an expert at something, it doesn't mean you're an expert writer. So we put our 2 talents together. The second thing that I get to do is I get to write nonfiction. So like the 10 best decisions a single mom can make. And what I like to do with nonfiction, and this is always under my name, Peggy Sue Wells. And so I will write things that help people to live smarter, easier, just a better way of doing things. So with the 10 best decisions a single mom can make, I co-authored with Pam Farrell, and we put together all the tips that will help a solo parent home succeed, help these kids, these moms be able to thrive. So like, these are the things that work. I've tried a lot that don't work, but we compiled all the things that do. And then the third aspect that I get to do is I get to write fiction. And I really love adventure, and I love suspense and thriller, and written very tight, lots of action. And I like to take my readers to places that they have never been before, introduce them to people they've never known, introduce them to history that they're not aware of, take them on experiences like a halo jump, or we dive the wall, which is a mile deep off the coast of St. Croix. And so I will take the readers there. And so those are the things that I get to do with fiction. And I've found with each one of those areas, there's something specific that God has given me to do. Being able to share somebody's story for them is that's where we want to leave something behind that outlives us. We want to be able to say, I was here, I made a difference, I have left something that's going to benefit other people. So that's when I get to collaborate. When I'm writing the nonfiction, it's under my name, again, PeggySue. And that's just so I could just come alongside because we're doing this together. We are shoulder to shoulder, looking at challenges, looking at how do you do that? How do you make this work?
Yeah.
And so I can compile those things and I can put those into something that is a handbook that will help someone, whether it's parenting or marriage or relationship or just getting through life one way or another. Mm-hmm. And then with the fiction, this is in always my initials, P.S. Wells.
Uh-huh.
And the reason for that is because my fiction is written in a way that men will enjoy it as well. And men typically feel more comfortable reading a book that is not written by a female. Not right or wrong. It's just kind of how they're wired. And fine with that. So I do have a co-author, Max Garwood, who is a brilliant engineer and inventor. He's much smarter than I am, so he's very helpful with plots.
Wow.
But then if I put P.S. Wells on that, for instance, if my son, who was in the military for a time, picks up the book to take with him on, on one of his assignments, he's not going to feel uncomfortable that, it's, written by a female. So I just put my initials on there. And the thing with fiction is when the thing that we want to do most in life is we want to connect and belong. Mm-hmm. And as we're trying to make our way through life, we're like, gosh, why do you think that way and I feel this way? Why is your view that way and my view is this way? And what would happen if somebody actually knew how I felt about that? If somebody knew this dark side of me? And so in fiction, we get to explore all that because I don't have to be politically correct in a fiction story. We get to write people as they are. We get to tell about those things that we wrestle with. And then as a reader, I can say, gosh, do I do that? What happens if I did do that? What would that be like? And so we realize, I'm not the only one. There's other people like me. And so that's the whole gift of fiction is we get to be honest, we get to be raw, and we get to be vulnerable, and we get to see how is it that life kind of fits together and we start trying to make sense of it.
That is wonderful. I was going to ask you where you got your ideas for writing fiction.
Definitely ideas come from real life. But let me give you an example of something that popped up for one of these nonfiction books. So I started realizing with my kids that when we would come together and we're having our holidays, it was almost like a kind of emotionally abuse one another and then have pie. And I was thinking, gosh, I grew up like that. I don't want to do that. And so why are we having trouble getting along? How do I make this work? And I'm like, gosh, God, can you show me what am I missing? Because there's that scripture that says, as far as possible, live at peace with all people. And so I was saying to God, I'm doing my part. It's clearly them. You need to work on them. And he said, you know what, PeggySue? He said, the one common denominator in all your relationships is you. And I said, okay, show me what I'm missing. So he started to show me about what I call the 5 R's. And that is rejection, resentment, resistance, revenge, repeat, which is what we do when we're in relationships with people. So for instance, this is how this looks. One Saturday morning, my daughter Hannah gets up. She's a teenager. She's grousing around the house. So of course I made her tea and pancakes and told jokes, trying to, bring up her mood. She did not respond, didn't drink the tea, pushed that pancake around, didn't laugh at my jokes. So at that point, I'm feeling rejected. All of my efforts have gotten stonewalled. I'm feeling rejected. I don't like feeling rejected, so I went from rejection into resentment. So I'm sitting at the table with her, feeling not happy. Then I went into resistance. Well, okay, fine. You're not going to talk to me. I'm not going to talk to you. You're not going to look at me. I'm not going to look at you, because that reeks of maturity. But here I am doing this with my daughter.
Yeah.
The next step after that was, my heart is hurting. I want you to know that my heart is hurting. So if you feel like your heart is hurting, you'll have an understanding of that. My heart hurts. Makes no sense from the outside, but we automatically just do it. Yeah. So right as I was about to open my mouth and say to her, so Hannah, when are you going to get that homework done? You got to keep those grades above sea level. Hey, are you going to clean that bathroom sometime this week? See those stilettos that would have come out of my mouth, and it would have been hurtful. What would she have done? She would have backpedaled like, whoa, mom's on the warpath. Stay away from her. Then we would have gone into repeat, because if she's backpedaling and putting distance, I would have felt rejected all over again, and we would have gone into repeat. So right about the time I was about to open my mouth and say something about her homework, I felt God go, case in point, you're in the 5 R's. And I was like, oh, I am about to hurt her by going into revenge. So instead, I backed up a little bit and I'm like, all right. So I said to her, I said, Hannah, the story I'm making up in my head right now is that I stink as a mom and you'd rather be anywhere else on Saturday morning than home here with me. So there had been a rejection, and I had made up a story in my head about what was behind that. It was a fictional story in my head, but it had become my reality, and I was acting towards her based off something that was made up. She looks up from that pancake that she's pushing around on her plate, kind of blinks like she's coming back into reality, and she said, I just found out, Mom, that the boy I babysit for has leukemia.
Oh.
Right? It had nothing to do with me.
Right.
And it was this huge awareness of the Lord saying to me, each time you're going into the 5 R's, you're making up a story in your head. You're living out of that reality. It has nothing to do with reality. And you're destroying your relationships. And so this happens in the workplace. It happens with my neighbors. It happens in church. It happens everywhere. So I was said, okay, God, show me how to do this. Show me how to fix this. And I've got a whole chapter on it in the 10 best decisions a single mom can make. So you can get that information there. However, the bottom line that it comes down to is for me to go back to the beginning and say, what are the facts, and stick to the facts. The facts were my daughter had gotten up and was grousing around the house that morning. If I would have stopped there, I would have just gone on with my day. She eventually would have worked through whatever she was doing, but I would not have made it personal. We got to experience this a little bit later. If you want to have drama, have a wedding. And with 6 daughters, we've had a lot of weddings.
Oh my.
Right? And so not long ago with my youngest, as we're having the wedding, her sister who was doing the shower says, so Mom, is your friends coming? Because I'm setting out the place settings. And I said, you know what, babe? I don't know if she's coming. I sent an invitation. I've called her twice. I don't know. I haven't heard a thing. I don't know if she's coming. Do you hear the 5 R's in my voice?
Yeah.
So since we've been doing the 5 R's, my daughter who knows about the 5 R's says, so Mom, what are the facts? And I'm like, oh, the facts. The facts are I sent an invitation. I called twice. I haven't heard. You know what? I'll call again. It changes everything to just go back and stick to the facts. So those are the kind of things that I have gotten to learn about by interviewing people, by writing about them, because life is conflict. That's what makes story. It's us bumping up against one another and figuring out how to grow personally and also how to get along with one another.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And such powerful information and really truth. You're right. Life is pretty much like that. And but your books would certainly benefit many of us. So I would like to put up some information for you here. You can connect with PeggySue on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I'll also put this information under in the comment section as well, so people can maybe connect with you. Thank you so much, PeggySue, for being my guest today. And I just commend you for your writing and goodness, just different kinds of books there. So, but thank you so much for being my guest today.
I would also like to invite people. There are a lot of free resources, including information on the 5 R's at my website, PeggySueWells.com. And
Oh,
also all kinds of free resources at singlemomcircle.com. Just go there and go through the topics and find what you want, but it's all available and free for the shopping.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all for watching. And also, Abundant TV, a great network for you and your family. Have faith and look up, friends, where our help comes from. Bye. God bless.